So welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about a case study of ours. So we're very happy to have a customer on stage. That's always very nice. We're going to talk about a landscape from IT landscape assessment to a cloud success. Okay. Room yellow. You should be able, but that is being monitored. Hear us if your headset is on the yellow markings. I'm not alone on the stage, of course, today. We have Lionel, the Chief Information Officer of SCAM. The customer is SCAM on stage today, and Lionel will present.
Good morning.
We have Steven Ackx, who is the Cloud Consultancy Lead, also on stage explaining what we did with this customer, and myself, I'm the Product and Solution Lead for the Cloud practice. Lionel, can you come on stage?
Yes, sure.
On my left side, can you explain a little bit, SCAM, what does it stand for?
SCAM means in French, Société, Coopérative, Agricole de la Meuse. So the SCAM is actually a cooperative based in Wallonia, covering about the all territory of the region and supporting more than 4,000 customers in the agricultural services.
Okay. And what does SCAM do, actually? Can you explain a little bit?
So SCAM is to be seen as an extension of the customers, in the sense that we are offering services, we are offering tools, we are actually also buying the harvest from the customers, and we sell them all the services and products that they need in order to be competitive on their market.
Okay. And I see you have a lot of sites also.
Yeah, it's an old company, as you can see on the slides. 65 years history, 2,400 cooperative owners. That makes us very different from the competitions, in the sense that the farmers are actually the owners of the company. They have shares in the company, and they have a vote to decide what they want to receive as services from the cooperative. So that makes us very different, in the sense that we are always open to the services that they're expecting from us.
Okay, nice. Can you explain a little bit about the services that you're providing to these farmers?
Yes, so as I said, seeds, typically that's the main service that they are expecting us to deliver. Animal food, we have our own plan for productions of animal food in Wallonia. Crop protection, as you can imagine, also extremely important for our customers to be served, to be protected with those crops. And then cereals, the main particularity is that we are buying the cereals from the farmers, but we're also selling them the services that they are looking for. So every owners of the company, every cooperator is also a customer and a provider for the SCAM.
Okay, great. And of course, to deliver these services, you have your IT systems and your applications.
Indeed, and as you can see, 46 sites. It's not an easy part in terms of IT. You need to be supported by players that can help you to get sure that the same information can be distributed in all the sites. Why do we have those 46 sites which are based on Wallonia? Because we want to be very close to the customers. We don't want the farmers to have to do like 50 kilometers in order to provide their harvest or to get the services. So being close to the customers is extremely important for the cooperative.
Okay, thank you. That was a little bit of introduction to the people that do know SCAM. I'd like to give the word to Steven. Steven will explain what Proximus Next and SCAM did together in the project.
Okay, good morning from me also. Let's talk a little bit about what we did. It consisted of a couple of projects, and it was in fact an end-to-end story from assessment until the cloud success or the cloud run. But first, Lionel, can you explain us a little bit about the scope?
Well, the initial scope of our partnership was about understanding what is the level of maturity of our organization at putting in place a new innovative project, at moving to the public cloud or the private cloud. The main questions we had was about what do we do? Are we willing to keep our own infrastructures in terms of IT hosting and IT computing, or are we willing to move to the next steps? So Proximus and NXT help us to really focus on what's wrong, what's right in the way we are working, and give us some recommendations on what are the possible options in front of us. And in this case, what we were proposed to do was running on your own infrastructures at Proximus, or move directly to the Proximus NXT / Google Cloud, or potentially also Azure. That's the choice that we did. We went for Azure because we wanted to have an openness to new innovative projects. That was the main reason why we moved to the public cloud.
Okay, thank you. If you look at a bit, like I already explained, it was consisted of a couple of projects. So we started, in fact, with an IT landscape assessment. An IT landscape assessment. Then we had a decision for the customer to decide on which scenario he wanted to take. Like Lionel already said, a lift and shift to the private cloud or a lift and shift to the public cloud. Maybe Lionel, you can explain what was the decision-taking criteria.
Yeah, indeed. So the constraints we had at working on a private cloud, we were working with one of your competitors on the private cloud in Belgium, and we were not satisfied in the sense that we had those technical constraints that prevent us from going for new innovative project. AI, and we will see that in a moment, is typically one of a new way for us of working. Running on a private cloud was not an option for us when we want to adopt AI services. So typically the choice of going for the public cloud was also decided by what are the next things that we are willing to do in the 2, 3, 5 years.
Okay, thank you. So let's dive in a little bit in what we exactly did now. So the first thing that we did was, like I already said, the IT landscape assessment. An IT landscape assessment, that's an assessment that we do together with customers in order to look at the roadmap where they want to go. What are the future steps that they can do? And we start, in fact, with analyzing the as-is. What are the workloads? What's the infrastructure that you have today? In order to make sure that we get a complete picture of what is important. Then we also do workshops and interviews where we sit together with the customer, looking at their strategy, what are the future projects that they want to do, what are the applicable laws and regulations that they have to comply to, in order to bring all those information together and then start on building on scenarios which are options that the customer can choose from in order to make a distinct decision on what his future roadmap would be. This can be these scenarios. We also deliver ballpark figures on what the costs are, what the risks are, what the impact, what potential roadmap is, so that the customer can really compare those things. And that's a little bit what, like Lionel explained, where we did an assessment, then came up with 2 scenarios, the public or the private cloud, and then the customer decided on moving towards the public cloud. The deliverables typical in these kind of projects is the assessment report, but also the workshop material, the project documentation, and the architecture blueprints of the as-is and a high-level blueprint of the to-be. Important is to see that the customer also sometimes gets a view on his total landscape, and we've noticed in a lot of these projects that it's possible that a customer doesn't have that complete view, so that's also updated then. After that, when the customer has decided, we started a migration approach where we did the different steps on creating or implementing his infrastructure in the public cloud. Here we worked with the lift and shift migration. We did the assessments. We assessed. We continued on more detailed assessment on analyzing the dependencies, evaluating compatibility, cost estimations. We did the preparation of the migration, looking at what VMs need to be, what application, what workloads need to be migrated, how can we bundle them, what are the backup strategy, in order to also to execute the migration. Typically, we start bundling that migration into in batches, so we start step by step migrating the entire infrastructure from their as-is infrastructure to the to-be. Sometimes, typically, it's interesting to start, for instance, with the easy applications or the easy workloads in order to have a little bit trust between the teams, that everybody knows, okay, this is running well, we're doing step by step. And then after everything is migrated, we have a next step where we do some post-migration activities, like validating, again, optimizing costs, looking at the security configuration in order to make sure that everything is handled.
A small comment on the last one that you mentioned, the optimization is something which is really important for us, is to get sure that we apply the FinOps best practices when we are running on the public cloud with Microsoft Azure, and we received the right support from you guys when telling us, okay, what are the best practices in terms of getting sure that you have the right sizing of your VMs, what are the specific things that you have to do for test or environment VM. So these things are also super important for our teams because we also have some extremely high pressure on the price, and we need to show that those VMs are shut at night, the one that are used for development of testing. So this type of support is also super important from us, and we're also expecting you in the coming weeks, by the way, to do that. So that's really good.
And then that's one of the benefits of also running in a public cloud. You can shut down your VMs at night. You can optimize your costs. It would not be possible with other solutions. It's one
Indeed, in the past we were running 24/7 with our own infrastructures, and I don't have to explain you the story, but that's the beauty of the public cloud, I would say.
Indeed. Cool.
That's correct. And then after everything is migrated, we are in a new situation, then we can start decommissioning the on-premise infrastructure, but also like Lionel already mentioned, a continuous optimization of the costs of the security, of the management. Is everything working fine? Is an important part of the run phase that we call it then. Little bit who worked on it, because this was a migration. Typically we work with a migration engineer who does execute the project. Of course there's always a cloud architect. This is, in most cases we also try to make sure that this is the cloud architect who did the assessment, who came up with the high level scenarios, is also involved in the migration and validating if this is all in line with what at the beginning has been decided by the customer. Of course, a security expert needs to be on board in order to make sure that the infrastructure is secure. And then, depending on which specifically the workloads, what kind of workloads we are migrating, we always have internal experts present, participating, like somebody, if we have, for instance, an important part on telephony or on backup, we can case by case bring those people in. After that, now, and that's a little bit where we are now, is we come into a run phase. A run phase is in fact consists of managed services. So we manage this together with the customer. We take sure that the infrastructure keeps up and running, is up to date, that if there are change requests that need to be done, and like already mentioned, the continuous optimization of that project. Important part is we have now, like I explained, we have 3 different parts. We had the assessment, the build, and the run where we are in today. And this made, in fact, that you get an end-to-end story from assessment until operations. What are the success factors, of course, of this kind of project? It's important that this is, of course, timely completion, because main time when migrating from one service provider to another, basically there are always contract constraints, an end of life, or software or hardware that's end of life. So timing is very crucial in this project. Of course, budget adherence is one of the most common criteria, but also stakeholder satisfaction, especially when you're changing as an organization from an on-prem or from a hosted infrastructure and you go to the cloud. There are always difficulties in connectivity and availability and scalability at the beginning. The little bit, like they call it in Dutch, the kinderziektes that they need to get out of there. So stakeholder satisfaction in that part is also important. Communicating with the stakeholders, explaining them where we are, at what stage, so that they are aware and that they can also give feedback on how the migration is going. And in the end, of course, at the beginning we go for scalability, security is important, but also efficiency, better availability, better connectivity is important in these kinds of situations. And then, of course, everything is documented so that there's a complete new infrastructure with sufficient documentation and ready. So then, of course, this is now the end of the project where we are now. But there are, of course, next steps which can be taken based on the new infrastructure, which opens new doors, new opportunities for SCAM. And so, Lionel, can you explain a little bit on what the next are?
So indeed, the initial project was to help us to migrate from our past historical reality and a new public cloud. And being quite satisfied with what we received as a support from Proximus NXT. We also understood that you guys have the capacity to support us in being more innovative in the way we are operating. One of the way we are operating was about how can we improve the efficiencies of our salespeople. AI for us seems to be a way for us to go in that direction. So that's an example of a workshop that we had with your teams to understand what are the current ASIS processes, the way we are working today, how can we improve that by being supported by an AI processes. Mm-hmm. And so by doing this kind of example with what we call the métier, the people that are really working on the sales processes internally, we got the right support. We understood from those workshops what are the things that we can do differently and how AI, through a small proof of concept, could be adopted in the first phase for those new way of working. So that's a good example of an extension of the first collaboration that we had on the public cloud to go to the next stage, and that's what we'll be doing in the coming months. Yeah.
Okay, some other projects. So besides the Azure migration, the workshops that we're doing together, of course, Proximus Next delivers more services, and you also explained a little bit that you have other projects also ongoing. Can you explain a little bit on that topic and how you're working with us?
One of the important things for the SCAM is to work not with too many providers. So for us, having a one-stop shopping, having one provider that can help us not only on the classical IT service, but that can also help us in this project. This is a new building that SCAM will adopt by April next year. We need some support for the equipment of this new building to be organized. So also Proximus NXT help us in the access control, in the cameras, in interphone. You are quite known for this, and that's why we also wanted to keep the collaboration and working with you on these new advancements. The security is a major impact for us, major project for us, so we also decided to work with you on Fortinet, not only on the HQ that you see on the screen, but also on the 46 sites that we have across Wallonia.
Yeah, so, indeed. Yeah. Okay, very interesting, and indeed, if you look at Proximus Next, we have multiple practices that contribute. So it's not only delivered from cloud, we can rely on our colleagues both within an IT context, but also in a telco context. You mentioned it also. So that's very thankful for that. Now that you're, of course, you're looking ahead, but if you take then a couple steps further into the future, and knowing that you have all these capabilities that the cloud, the public cloud can give you, what do you see there as some topics that you're looking at?
Well, the first one that you mentioned, I just expressed the fact that we need to improve the efficiencies of the people. Our people on the sales team, they are spending a lot of time on the road from one farmers to the others. How can we use AI agents during the way that they are on the road to improve the way they will be interacting with farmers? Before the meeting with the farmers, but also after the meeting with the farmers. That's typically how AI agent can help these sales teams on the road. That's one example. Another example, which is more focusing on how AI can support customers, is about how to better analyze the data from the soils, the crops, and the weather. These customers also, you don't imagine how many customers are already using the technology. They know what AI is, and they are today already able to use that technology. So it's also the role of SCAM to provide them with the tools that they can use in the field to understand what's wrong with my crop, what's wrong, what do I need to do with this type of problems that I meet in my fields, and doing some specific AI tools for the customers is also for us on the roadmap. And then I will finish with one example which is really interesting. I'm pleased to have today the CEO of Tonomia. Tonomia is a company that we are envisioning a new project. How can we get sure that the capacity in terms of electricity that we have with the farmers can be used for edge data centers? Tonomia is on the market with an extremely interesting and innovative project to go for edge data centers. And this is extremely good for us because we can see how we can link the overproduction of electricity of the farmers with companies and projects that needs that electricity. So that's a good example of how we can put in place next to the farm small data centers. Imagine like a small containers which contains AI, HPU, GPC servers, which is fed by the production of the electricity by the farmers, and how you can link this to the need of AI that we have on the market. So that's another example of how we can, with the collaborations of Proximus, go in very innovative projects.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Very interesting all, and looking forward to working further with SCAM, of
Likewise.
course. I think we're at the end of the slides. We have a couple of minutes left. Should somebody want to ask some questions to Lionel, Steven, myself? I have a microphone. I don't know. It's not obliged. Raise your hand. Okay, good. I'm going to throw it. And he has it behind you.
Hi,
Okay.
good morning.
Yes.
Short question. Did you do the TCO versus on-prem and now fully in the cloud? Did you do a comparison, and what did you learn so far from it?
Very, very good questions. Yes, we did one. We had to, when you have to do that type of choice, going for CapEx or going for OpEx on the public cloud. That question was a must. And since we need, I mean, a company like SCAM needs to focus on getting sure that the CapEx that we have, we use it for our own, I would say, old classical activity. Cloud for us is really to be spent on an OpEx mode. So the question about do we want to keep running with our own infrastructures, spending money on the servers, on the racks, that was not a question. So moving to the public cloud was not only, I would say, discussion made by the fact that we want to go for AI in the next 2, 3, 5 years, but also for the financial reason that we have no CapEx to invest in our own infrastructure. So going for OpEx and the public cloud was for us the only path.
Yeah, it's important when we deliver the IT landscape assessment. We end every scenario with ballpark figures, what the impact is of the infrastructure, looking at what will the migration cost, what will the workloads cost over time. Like Lionel also said, it's important when you do a public cloud infrastructure that you assess when are my workloads needed, at what time. Like for instance with SCAM it was important. They have busy periods where they need more infrastructure, more capacity than other periods. So that's something that you fine tune, and that's also that's all those stuff we take into account when we deliver those first scenarios, so that the customer can compare it with all the financial data that he needs.
Yeah, it's the example that you gave with the fact that SCAM in the wintertime is slowing down, as you can imagine. With the others that we have in the summertime, I mean, the usage of our IT system is extremely high, and also we had to be supported by a system that can easily adapt the demand from our farmers to access those IT systems. So we did that. So you have peak, and then you have some slowing down activity from September, October until March the next year. So that's a good example.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Trying to see with the lights in my... No? Okay.
Oh, there is one here.
Yeah?
Yeah, hello. I can imagine that for a productive company, speed is very important. So on-prem, you probably have a high speed. Were there any concerns about moving to the public cloud in regards of speed? Was this looked at by Proximus Next, or was this no problem at all?
Yeah. It's also when we compare the scenarios, we look at the existing availability, what is the connectivity that they have today, what are the needs, especially also with if there's a lot of data transfers, we look at it, and then and if needed and during a migration, we can also upgrade the connectivity towards those specific needs. So that's indeed also something that is looked at in order to make a decision, and also taken into account that has an impact on the cost, of course, also.
And indeed, before discussing that together, we had a precise idea of what is the speed that we have by accessing to the ERP or to the CRM. We know exactly what are the current performance, and of course we were informing Proximus NXT that there's no way we can go below that level. So they can increase the speed at whatever they do, but there's no way we can go lower to the specific historical performance data that we had. So that part was also discussed.
Yeah,
with them.
and I think, Steven, it's not only the speed, so the connection, the bandwidth you have towards the public cloud. It's also we also look at the latencies that applications are having, and then fine-tune our recommendations and the implementation afterwards based on those requirements.
Indeed, and also when we have decided about the size of the VM that we wanted to migrate from on-prem to the public cloud, we kind of oversight the size of the VMs running on Azure, just to be sure that in the first months we will not have any constraints in terms of capacity. So the size of the VM was slightly above what we need, and that's why now we are running in operation now for a few months. We are now fine-tuning and optimizing and doing what we call the right sizing and getting sure that the ERP that is running on Azure is just running well without too much low and too high. But right sizing is the thing that we will be working on. But the first thing was to get sure that we don't meet any constraints of performance when giving access to our customers or to our internal teams.
Yep. That's also why in the success criteria you saw that there was a stakeholder satisfaction or stakeholder acceptance. It's something that we measure during the migration in order to make sure that the users, the key users, are still ready with and have the feeling that everything works in the same way as they used to, in order to make sure if there are changes there that we can adapt to it.
Okay. We have time for one question, I think. Should somebody still want a question? And if not, then I would like to thank everyone for joining this session. I would like to thank Lionel and Steven for helping presentation of this session. You can scan this QR code for feedback. Both Steven and myself, we will be a lot of time present on the cloud booth also. So if you want to catch up, have a discussion with our teams, please welcome to visit us, or other booths, of course. There's plenty to see. I wish you all a very nice day, and thank you for joining this session.
Thank you.
Proximus Next. Tech Biz People.